Hey guys, it's Menta. This is what we're going to be making today as part of bass processing. And this is what it sounds like in context with a melody, chords, and everything, just so you can see what this would do in the middle of a mix. So yeah, let's get into it. I've been asked to do a bass tutorial before. Sorry it's taken so long. It's been busy. Got some new music on the way. Got a song with Technicore coming out in September, which should be really good. Really excited for everyone to hear it. And then yeah, some more stuff in the works after that. So people ask me to do bass processing, to chat about that. I'm not actually going to go over sound design in this one because I personally don't do a lot of it. I'm not that good at it. I tend to leave that stuff to people that are good at it. Technical's got a really good tutorial, which I'll link in the description below and chuck a card at the top. Yeah, the important thing with the bass, a lot of it comes from the kick and bass relationship, so I'm going to cover that too. So if we grab a kick in here, I'll chuck it to 16 bars, why not? So this is a kick. I have a template which basically is like my ongoing evolving every single song I make. You know, I keep the template of stuff that works and then I evolve it through the next track, save it again, update the template. That's how I like to operate. So this is my kick template. Not kick template, kick channel. It's very simple, very simple. It's just an EQ with a low cut to stop. I never use a kick that's really low, so I just cut out the really low sub from it because it gets in the way. I usually drop this a little bit, but we'll do that live on the fly. That's kind of the bit I tweak per song. A little dip between 1 and 200 hertz to just cut out the rumble a bit. And then I just peak the transient. This also can move song to song depending on the kick I use, because obviously the transients can be in a different place. And then my secret sauce is TP Basslane, which is basically just a free plugin, which has a cutoff frequency, and anything below the cutoff frequency gets switched into mono. And it also, not that it says it does, I couldn't find any reference anywhere that it says it does, but it definitely boosts the sound of it as well. It definitely brings the sub out of things. So we've now got a more bouncy kick. Now what I'm going to do for the purposes of this tutorial is I'm actually going to run it through Ozone, because you get a more accurate representation, like post-master, what it will sound like. So I'm just going to chuck on my preset from one of my other songs, which should work for this. And so you've got the kick, which sounds like this. Now what I like to do is change the declicking mode to transient bleeding and actually shorten this kick, because as you'll see when the sub goes in, the sub will occupy this space here. The kick at the moment will overlap this space, and that's going to cause issues. So what I like to do is not have stretch turned on. You'll see the transient declicking mode coming in here with this little wave at the end, which means that you don't get the click at the end. If you turn this off, you'll hear exactly what I mean. If you turn transient to no bleeding, and then you listen to this kick, can you hear that like little thumpy, almost like reverse clicking happening? If you have the bleeding on, it's clean. There's no click. So what I'd like to do is keep my kicks quite short, but also punchy, to about 1.5 bars. Again, this will be adjusted once the sub goes in. So we'll chuck the sub in, because that will make a lot of things clearer. I have a sub that I always use, It's just actually a tweaked preset. Let me label it up just because I prefer it for my own sanity. We'll chuck it on F. And we'll put it in the sub bass channel. Now, I will go through processing on the sub bass channel in just a moment, but we'll chuck it in and... Oh, that's the kick. We'll chuck it in and we'll see how it sounds quickly. Why is... There it is. It's going well. So it's not sounding quite right. So what I have is, I have both the sub bass and the kick go into this spectrum analyzer. Smexoscope, also free, to visualize how the kick and bass is relating to each other. You'll see here, there's no gap at the moment. So there is too much overlapping going on with the kick and the bass. If I take the kick, we'll, if I detach this a minute so it doesn't keep disappearing, there we go. Lower this. Aha. So, this is just me being silly. Shaperbox's mix is not on. That's what happens when there's no sidechain. You obviously want sidechain. So, now we have sidechain, this should beef up a lot. This is not quite right. You're getting a slight bit of clicking. The slight bit of clicking is actually coming from Shaperbox. There's no smoothing on the LFO. If I increase the LFO smooth, say 40%, maybe a little bit more. That gets rid of the clicking from Shaperbox. So back to the kick and bass relation. You can see here where the kick stops is on the bit where the wave kind of dies down, and the sub starts. This is about where I'd want it. You've got the kick and the bass kind of going side by side. Now, the other key thing, and this is where the lowering of this comes in, is you want the sub to be around about the same volume as the kick on the waveform. I often have it like a tiny bit quieter, but you end up with this like strong driving thing. Now, what I usually do as well is I like Hentai Core's pack for this. Grab a top layer for your kick just to get the attack out, because a lot of the time my punchy kicks don't have enough attack on the top end, and I usually have this very quiet, but it just layers it up. And there we go. Even smooth that out a bit more. There we go. That forms the basis of your bass, because you want your bass, your sub and your kick to be working together with each other. Obviously this sounds better once the mid bass goes on and then, you know, the top bass, but initially speaking, this is how we go. I'll give you a quick rundown of what I like to do with the sub bass as well. So I have an EQ. I boost the sub a little on its fundamental. In this case over here, because it's an F. I use IVGI2, which is a free saturator. I slightly increase its output and I slightly boost up the drive. If you do the drive too much, you'll see what happens. You add in a lot of harmonics. I don't actually want that many. So I keep it there. I then have another sub bass EQ, which boosts the second harmonic. Third harmonic. It still like low cuts it and doesn't actually low cut there. There's a high cut though. Then I have Frontier, which is a brick wall limiter, and I have that absolutely slamming the sub, so we get a consistent volume across any note you play on the sub. In this case, we are compressing by, like, you know, a lot. 48 dB. That's quite extreme. Probably overkill, but is what it is. I then have a final EQ, which just cuts off the lows again, the really high lows, and also tames the third harmonic, just to make sure it doesn't interact too much with the mid bass that comes after it, because my mid basses tend to start around the 200 hertz mark. So just it clears the space, it makes sure that they stay separated enough to come through cleanly. And then again, I have bass lane, which monos everything under 150 hertz, which in the subs case is pretty much the entire sound gets monoed. I then have a shaper box with the following envelope, which is for the side chain against the kick. So we make sure that the kick is less than 2 bars. If you zoom in on here, you'll see that shaper box basically marries up to this. So the kick plays here, and then the sub starts like here. And there's enough of a tail off there to leave them separated enough that you get a clean distinction between the two. So, as I said, I'm not going to the sound design, and I don't often do a lot of sound design in the bass area. So what I like to do is I take, usually in the modern sound, I take a hardstyle kick and I'll layer it up where I need to. So take this, for example. You've got a kick. I'm going to stretch this slightly so I get the waveform up to sort of where I want it. I'll put that on stretch as well. And then we have the basis of a reverse bass. Now, this obviously will just sound like a hardstyle kick at the moment, which is not what you want, because you want a reverse bass, and that's all just done through an LFO. I don't actually do too much processing to these at all, because obviously they're so processed as it is. If I chuck it in there and lower its volume so it's sort of in line with what you'd expect. Yeah, obviously this is going to sound terrible, but if you don't do anything with it, it's going to sound like this. Because it's a hardstyle kick overlapping with another kick and a different sub. So what I do with these is we take an EQ, I chop off a good 100 hertz to cut out the lows. And before we listen to that again, I will set up the LFO, because I like to use high chain on kickstart, and this is where you create the reverse sounding bass. You basically do a very similar thing to what we did with the sub, except you do it for the reverse. I do this with kickstart more because of ease. You obviously can use shaper box, LFO tool, any of the above. I just like kickstart because it's nice and easy. And it also has the anti-click smoothing automatically, which shaper box doesn't have, which is why we have to do the LFO smoothing. Subtle details, but you know, it is what it is. So playing with these, you can then make it tighter, longer, which we'll look at now. So that's bouncing nicely. We've got rid of anything under 100 hertz, which we want. Try and find a bite with these just to see if we can bring out a nice sound to it. I often here also do other things as well. I said I don't process these too much. It kind of depends on the sound. I feel like this one could do with a bit of processing, so we might do that now. Get the EQ in there, and maybe we'll see what OTT sounds like on that. We'll chuck the Stonebone preset on. not that bad. And what you get is a tight sounding hardstyle reverse bass, and that's all just sampled off of hardstyle kick, alongside your kick. But the important thing is the sub bass obviously being tight with the kick. If that wasn't there, this would sound like this. It sounds empty, it's missing stuff. The thing with the sub bass is that's what provides you with the groove, and that's what kind of glues everything together. The bass on top is just the grit, it's just the fizzle. Adjust the envelope to taste, but ultimately that is about what I do with my bass. It's very simple, but sometimes simple's fine, at least to me, my opinion. You obviously can take this further. You can go a lot further. You can saturate that sub. You can layer it up with things. That's all kind of to taste and to mixing, but at its core, these are the things you need to get right. It's making sure that kick bass, sorry, the kick sub relation is there. Everything's tight, and then the reverse on top. That kick's actually slightly too loud. There we go. In order to put this into different notes, as you would with a hardcore song playing with a melody on it, what I would do is get the sub. I've added some notes to it. Stretch this out. And then what I do is on each of the kicks where we need to change, I will make one of them unique. Here. And actually open it in Edison. Now, because the pitch built into the FL sampler is not very consistent, should we say. So what I like to do is take it from around about where the bass starts, just after the transient, and then pitch it in here. So in this case, we want to go up 7 semitones to C. Not E3 generic, we'll do E3. Much better. So we know the length here is 464. So when we pitch it, we want to keep the length the same. And then we will export that onto here. We will give it a slight stretch again, because it needed to sync up again with these on the same mixer insert, and we do this for all 3 of these. So I'll skip to when I'm done. Right, and once you've done that, you end up with this. And there we go. There's your bass processing. Hopefully this helps some of you. This is how I process my basses. As I say, sometimes if it's missing something, I will layer it up with more. I will give it more gritty of a high end. I will process them more. But at a fundamental level of balancing and getting the actual bass sitting right with the kick, this is what I do every time. And it's extremely important to get this right for hard dance, because it's club driven. So yeah, hopefully it's helped. Come and chat with me on my new Discord. I'm planning on hoping to help out anyone. If you don't want to wait around for these videos, you want to chat to me, you want to ask me stuff, come on. Links in the description. Come on in, have a chat. And yeah, giving away samples and presets I've made and things in there as well. So yeah, come and grab stuff. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.